Alright, so John Cole with DiscountJuicers.com. Today we have another exciting episode for you. In this episode, I'm going to share with you guys my 10 favorite juicing accessories that's going to make juicing much easier and simpler for you guys in more ways than one. You know, if you guys are a carpenter or auto mechanic or even do nails or hair, right? If you guys don't have the right equipment, right? If you're a hair cutter and you have dull scissors that are just garbage, you're going to be frustrated and you're not going to be wanting to cut hair. Likewise, if you are a mechanic, if you're a professional mechanic, you're probably using snap-on tools. You're probably not using tools from Harbor Freight, right? So, you know, in this episode, I'm going to show you guys the best tools that you will need to juice, to properly juice, and to make it way easier, convenient, hassle-free, and even juice for a week at a time in one sitting in just a few hours. So you could be drinking juice grab and go style every single day of the week, which is what I want you guys to do. I'm not the biggest fan of juice fast, but what I would rather you guys do is make juicing a habit, to drink juice fresh day. Whether you want to make juice every single day and drink it right then and there, or whether you want to do what I do, which is batch juice and make juice in a large quantity and then store it and then drink it throughout the week. That's always going to be the best. So the first thing I'm going to tell you guys before I even get into the accessories is I'm going to say you guys need to buy the right juicer. The right juicer for me at this time that I use most in my home is the Hurom H70. The reason why I like the Hurom H70 is because a few reasons. Number one, it has a hopper, so you can load up the hopper. It'll allow you to do other things while the juicer is running and making juice for you, saving you valuable time. And then when you're done juicing is a lot of work, especially for me. I have to, you know, prep produce, wash produce. In my case, I pick produce from my garden, wash it, and then juice it. The last thing I'm going to do when I'm done making a ton of juice and spent an hour or so making juice, maybe even longer, is clean the juicer. A lot of juicers require you to scrub the juicer. With the Hurom H70, literally you just spray it down with water in your sink, which I've done and show in the unboxing video. Literally takes me 60 seconds to clean. So if you guys don't yet have a juicer and looking for the best juicer that I use the most, the #1 world's juicer expert, look no further than the Hurom H70. So if you guys want to get the best deal on the Hurom H70, make sure you guys use a coupon code EASY at Hurom.com. That'll save you guys a minimum of 10% off the Hurom H70 and potentially even more if Hurom has other publicly available sales going on. My coupon codes will always ensure you guys get the lowest price at your purchase at Hurom.com. And I want to thank you guys who will use my coupon code, because when you use a coupon code, Hurom will share me a small commission so I can continue to buy my produce, pay my video editor, pay my light bill, and dedicate my time to making these videos where I share my wealth of knowledge that I've learned over the last 30 years juicing myself and over 25 years selling juicers online. So with that, let's get into the top 10 items that's going to make juicing a breeze. All right, so honestly, guys, the first item that I'm going to recommend you guys get is some kind of colander. This is the colander I use. It's a nice blue colander. It might be easy and convenient because it stores all my produce when I'm juicing in front of you. That being said, why I like this colander is because it sits right over my sink. These edges sit on the edge of the sink, so this is inside the sink, and I could literally just spray down the vegetables as it's sitting in my sink. Of course, when it's done, I basically tap this down, some of the water goes off, and then I could take this to my kitchen counter where I'm juicing and then easily just grab the produce I'm juicing and juice it on up. The next item I'm going to recommend, #2, is a brush. You know, this brush is the same brush I use to scrub down my produce, right? I recommend buying organic produce whenever you guys can afford it and when it's available near you, but if it's not organic, it's still beneficial to juice. That being said, I do recommend using a high pressure stream to blast off any kind of, you know, chemicals or residues that may be on the produce, as well as using a mechanical method such as brushing, which then will help remove more topical pesticides from the produce. Of course, you can do other kind of soaks with vinegar and soap and use soap. You could use a little dish soap on here that'll help get off the oil-based pesticides on there. If you guys want to go to the next level, you could get some kind of, ultrasonic ozone machine to vibrate and ozonate the produce, but that's beyond the scope of this video. So yeah, nonetheless, you want to get a dish brush, and the dish brush I recommend is from IKEA. This thing is still less than $1 at IKEA. So when these get old, basically, instead of throwing them away, I take them out to my garden or to my garage. I could actually clean the floors with them, clean, gardening tools with them, scrub down garbage cans because they're kind of just old and I don't want to throw them out even though they're still good. They're just a little bit dingy, right? I also use a brush like this on other juicers to clean other juicers because it has a lot more bristles on it. Plus, it also has nice stiff bristles, and also on this side, it actually has a scraping tool, which is quite functional. So if you guys want to buy any of these items, I'll have links down below in the description, as well as pinned to one of the comments with links to all these specific items so you guys could use my favorite items. Of course, for your sink, you may need to get a different size, so measure your sink on what size may be appropriate for you. This one I found at a local Korean supermarket, although you may be able to find this on Amazon. I have a few models listed on Amazon in the links below. So the third item to make juicing a breeze is you'll need a cutting board, not just any old cutting board. I recommend a large cutting board, and I also recommend a non-plastic cutting board. This is very important. A lot of cutting boards are plastic. The cheap ones are plastic. When you cut on a plastic cutting board, you get grooves in there, you get microplastics that may end up going on your food and into your juice. I don't recommend plastic cutting boards. I recommend a nice wood one. This wood one I bought many years ago on Amazon. Once again, link is down below. It served me quite well. You can see it's actually got a lot of knife cuts, but man, it's still holding up, working strong, and I probably should even oil it a little bit more. And I recommend the largest cutting board that you guys can afford and fit in your space because it'll allow you to make different piles of produce before you load it into the juicer. I'm not a fan of small cutting boards. To me, they're not really functional when juicing. So number 4, as long as we got a cutting board, we also need a knife. So, the knives I use exclusively, really, and this is actually non-sponsored, and these knives are expensive actually, so I'll tell you guys that. These knives are Kyocera knives. My favorite Kyocera knife is this knife right here. It is the micro serrated tomato knife. Link is down below to my Amazon shop to buy this knife. That being said, the best way to buy this knife is not it by itself, is to buy it in a 3-pack kit. So then you get 3 knives for maybe the price of two of these potentially. I just got one of the 3-pack kits on eBay for actually just a little bit more than just the cost of this knife alone. That being said, if you guys do get a 3-pack, you want to make sure that the 3-pack includes the micro serrated tomato knife. There's other 3-packs out there that include, a different knife that's not serrated. And the serrated knife is my favorite. It's significantly sharper than the other ones. They don't need sharpening. That being said, these are fragile and I have broken many of them, so I always have a spare on hand. If you guys have stainless steel knives and are good at sharpening them and have some Wusthoffs or high-end brand name knives, I'm sure those are great. But for me, just an average Joe that doesn't like to sharpen knives, that always wants a sharp knife to cut my produce, I always go to my Kyocera micro serrated tomato knife, and it never fails me. Whether I'm cutting beets, carrots, apples, the most important thing with this is that you want to cut straight through and never put it in and kind of wiggle it because you will crack it. Only go up and down, and I don't recommend using this to cut things really super hard, like hard winter squashes, such as butternut or whatever. That's one of the ways I've broken one of these knives. So yeah, Kyocera knife for the win. So as you can see, we're going to take out some of our produce and we're just going to start cutting it up into pieces so I can actually fit it into the juicer. So what I thought I'd do in this episode is bring you guys along on my journey of juicing. And as I'm going along in my journey of juicing, I'm going to share with you guys my other favorite accessories. As you guys can see, I got the produce prepped and ready to juice, but before I get juicing, I want to show you guys my 5th favorite item that's going to make juicing a lot easier, and this one is critical. This is one of my top items that I use on a regular basis. So number 1, the juicer will come with a catch bin that I generally do use their catch bin, but me personally, I hate the plastic juice catch container that juicers come with. This one goes up to approximately 1,000 milliliters. You could probably fit 1,100 milliliters or 36 ounces. This to me is just too small because when I juice large quantities. So for that reason, I want a much larger collection container. So what that means is that I will get a 2-liter or 2,000 milliliter or 8-cup, which will even go up to like higher, maybe like 2,500 milliliter in this one. And then my good old standby is this one here. So this is an Anchor Hawking. I think this is made in the USA. You could buy these at Target stores. About 15 bucks online at Amazon. The price may vary. I think when I looked at it earlier today, it was like 12 bucks, which is an amazing deal. And then this one's the one that's super heavy duty. This is the ones I normally use because sometimes you're like butterfingers and like, you know, this is like less likely to break. That being said, for, you know, when I'm doing juice off comparisons, or if you have an upscale kitchen or are more careful around the items you own, then you may want to get this one because honestly, you know, this one looks a lot better than this one, but this one's a lot thinner and a lot more fragile. So, you know, I prefer to use this one unless I'm doing a juice off. This one has much more precise markings, whereas this is much more mellow markings. This is called actually a batter mixing bowl, and this is a straight up measuring cup. So yeah, once again, links are down below to both these. So I will use one of these to catch the juice. In this case, I'm going to use the nice Anchor Hawking one, which is my standby. It fits right underneath the juicer spout. All right, number 6, I find myself using less and less these days, but I know some of you guys may want it. I will tell you guys that the Hurom H70 does put more pulp into the juice, which in my opinion, and based on the research published studies, are a good thing, that you got some insoluble fiber in the juice and there's more particulate in the juice than other juicers, because the particulate, after all, is more nutrition. That being said, some of you guys may not like the pulp in the juice. If you don't want to drink the pulp in the juice, then I recommend getting some kind of good quality sieve. This is a double, mesh sieve, so it has like the fine holes and to back it up, bigger holes. This makes it much more incredibly strong, so it's a lot more durable than just a single mesh. So I do recommend investing in a good quality sieve. And then this one basically just goes on top of the Anchor Hawking 2-liter mixing bowl. So when the juice comes out, it basically just goes through the sieve and gets collected in the bowl. Super simple, super easy. All right, so I think the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and get in the juicing process, and then we're going to come back at you when I'm done to show you guys my final accessories that'll make juicing a breeze, and you'll definitely want to stay tuned for those. Alright guys, so as you guys can see, we're done juicing, and now we're going to get into my next favorite item that's going to make juicing a lot easier and even get you guys more yield. So you guys can see I made probably almost 1,500 milliliters of juice. That's 1.5 quarts. We have a nice pulp patty here with all the pulp. Now, so depending on what juicer you are using and what produce you are juicing, your pulp may be more dry or wet, right? In the case of if you're juicing a lot of cucumbers, which is a fruit technically, or other fruits like tomatoes, peppers, apples, and oranges, in slow juicers, the pulp may be coming out a little bit moist, and I know that bothers a lot of you guys. So this next product, number 7, which is known as the Alexa's Bags, available at alexasbags.com, will solve the issue of wet pulp because it'll allow you to easily get your pulp more dry. So we have one right here. This is the Alexa's Bags. It's a nice oversized bag. And what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and simply take our pulp that just came out of the machine and put this over. Because of the oversized bag, you could literally put this whole container inside. Then we're going to go ahead and tip it up and over the top, tap it down, and we're going to go ahead and keep this over our juice bowl where all our juice went into, right? And as you guys can see, literally without me even squeezing the bag, we are dripping small amounts of juice. This is a nice fine mesh with no corners to get stuck, no drawstrings, right? And so what you're going to do now is you're just going to go ahead and squeeze this. And look at this, guys. I'm squeezing the pulp, and we are getting more juice to come out of the pulp, right? This is a very simple and easy method for those of you guys that want to maximize your nutrition and yield out of your produce to get your produce even dry. Now, instead of putting the whole mass in at once, it would have been better if I separated it into 4 different batches and then squeezed a quarter of it at a time instead of trying to squeeze this whole thing on the video. But I'm trying to just be more quick But you guys can see, look at this. I'm getting a fair amount of juice. This is not, super wet pulp. Of course, if you have a high-speed juicer, then the Alexis bag will be a lot more beneficial. Link down below to my video where I show using a high-speed juicer and the Alexis bag, and really how much more juice you could get. The pulp out of the Hurom H70 on this recipe, because we did a lot of carrots and beets, is more dry. Of course, the apples will make the pulp a little more wet. But you guys can see, we're getting a fair amount of juice out. Look at that. We're getting a nice stream when we crank on this. So, really, Alexis bags is going to get you more yield, make the juicing process more effective because you're going to get more juice for your same produce. So my 8th favorite accessory for juicing are mason jars. So we actually have some mason jar size non-branded mason jars. Then of course we have the same branded ball or mason branded jars right here, and they come in many different sizes, guys. So we're going to go over all the different sizes. Let's see, we'll put them in by size here. Starting over on this side is a small side. So, I recommend you guys, when you're storing your juices, if you are bulk juicing like I do, is to pack the juice in the size container that is a single serve for you. Single serve for me is a 32-ounce jar of juice. Some of you guys may only want to drink 16 ounces, and some of you guys maybe don't want to drink 24. These ones are very hard to find. The official Ball brand, they now have the knockoff ones of this size made in China on Amazon. For these ball jars, honestly, guys, I recommend going down to your local Walmart. Walmart will sell, actually, I think, these ones. This one's no longer available. And then also, Walmart has these guys. These are not the Ball or the name brand mason jars. However, they are made in the Mainstays brand, which is the Walmart brand. They are made in India, not China. And actually, the thing about these is that they're more decorative. So these look kind of fancy. These have like a lines going up and down. This has some kind of, pattern on there. That being said, these jars are a tad bit taller than the mason jars. Also, actually, to me, the glass looks a bit thicker. In addition, I weighed these jars. So the mason jar is the lightest. A little bit heavier are these jars with this pattern. And the heaviest of these three, which all hold the same 32 ounces, was these ones that actually I kind of prefer because they have this up and down design pattern which looks a bit more fancy. Whether you're going to drink out of them, which is what I do, or just store your juices in them, all these have the same size top. So in this case, I think I'm going to go ahead and use maybe like a 24-ounce jar to store, and then I'm going to use one of these 16-ounce jars to drink out of. Both these are 16-ounce. The difference is the shape. So this is like the taller 16-ounce with a more narrow bottom. This may fit in cup holders in your car, so if you want to take it to work. I do like that these style have generally thicker glass than the standard mason. Let's see here, these guys, this one's pretty thick too. All right, now for my 9th essential tool to make juicing easier is a funnel. So when you pour your juice out, right, if you don't get it exact, you're going to spill your juice everywhere. So I love to use a funnel. And if you just want to pour the juice in to the jar, that's great. You can use a funnel to make sure you don't drip. The other reason why I like the funnel is because you can take your sieve, and the sieve fits right in the funnel. Make sure you get the 6-inch sieve, and then you could go ahead and pour your juice through the sieve in the jar. Wow, and we even got more juice, so we're going to fill up another container here. This will also do another straining on your juice to get out more pulp if that is what you desire. So the juice is all in mason jars, and this is the 10th and final accessory, and this above all else is probably one of the most important items you should buy if you want to juice and store your juice. Whether you want to store your juice for a few hours or a few days or even a week like I store it, this next item is essential, and you will definitely want to get this particular one because it makes a huge difference. All right, so the last item you will want to buy, number 10, and the final item I'm going to mention today, is to store your juices. Whether you guys want to store your juices for a few hours, a few days, or even up to a week like I do, this item is essential. This is called the Pure Juicer Vacuum Pump, or MVP pump. It stands for Most Vacuum Pressure. So this will remove the most oxygen out of the headspace, but not just the headspace, guys. It'll also literally pull the dissolved oxygen out of your juice. In my testing, I showed that this pump can remove up to 80% of the oxygen out of a mason jar. If you think, John, I could just go buy a cheap pump on Amazon, Amazon's full of them for 20 bucks, right? Yes, you could of course buy one of those cheap pumps on Amazon. They may only pull out 50 or 60% of the oxygen. Once again, link down below to my video where I test this and the cheap Amazon pumps to show you guys the difference you guys are going to get. If you guys just want to store your juice overnight, then yes, you could probably use the 50 to 60% oxygen removal pumps. The problem is what they are not taking out. So that if you're removing 50% of the oxygen, you still have 50% of the oxygen left in the container being in the headspace, but more importantly, the juice. If you don't get up to maybe at least 70% oxygen removal, you will not start pulling the dissolved oxygen out of the juice because it happens at a much higher level of oxygen removal, right? And so when you use the pure pump, you can literally have only 20% of the oxygen left in the juice. This means that bacteria that needs oxygen to grow will not grow as quickly, as well as mold that would form due to the oxygen cannot form, right? So besides the pump, you will also need these special pure lids. These are the vacuum lids. These have a silicone gasket on there and a silicone valve, as well as being 100% stainless steel, and they're laser etched. They're not printed on the bottom side. The top is printed on. So literally all you do is you take one of these vacuum lids, you put it on, and then it has a nice indentation in the lid where you take off the pump cap, you put the pump on, and then you slowly pump it. So when you guys look at me pumping it, you could see maybe some bubbles come up. 1, 2, 3, 4, and this is not hard to do. 5, it's getting more resistance. 6, 7. At 7 pumps, I'm seeing a lot of air bubbles come out of the juice up to the surface. And let's continue. 8, 9, 10. All right, so at this point, we're almost going to start pulling juice out of the top. I don't know if you guys could see that, but there's a lot of air bubbles literally rising up from the juice to the top, and now we have a huge foam layer. This is all the dissolved oxygen you are removing from the juice, and this is the critical point for long-term storage. One day, once again, you could use one of those cheap pumps, but if you want to do 3, 5, 7 days, you need to remove all the oxygen, and even the pumps that I did is not enough. So what we're going to do is we're going to basically tap this down, get some of the oxygen to come up. You guys can see when I tap it down, a lot more air bubbles come up. We're freeing the bubbles, getting that dissolved oxygen to go to the top, to the vacuum part. Once we got it tapped down, we're going to let it set a little bit, and then we're going to go ahead and pump more. All right, so I easily did 10 more pumps, and let's do another 10. So we did about a total of 30 additional pumps, and now we have the majority of the dissolved oxygen out. So now this juice is stored under vacuum with 80% of the oxygen removed out of the headspace, and more importantly, the dissolved oxygen. This is critical for storage, and of course, along with removing the oxygen, you will want to keep this juice cold. I recommend between 33 and 35 degrees. If you put this towards the back of your fridge, the back of your fridge is generally colder and stays more constant than in like the door where you're opening and closing and there's more fluctuation in the temperature. I also like to store my juices against the side walls of the fridge that can tend to be colder. All right, so yeah, we're just gonna go ahead and pump out the juice of this 16-ouncer. We're not displacing as much air, so we will not need to pump it as much. All right, about at 6 pumps now, guys. You guys could see a lot of air bubbles rising up to the top. I wish you guys were here to see this. This really makes a difference. Also, of course, when you're drinking the juice without the air bubbles, you're not going to swallow that dissolved oxygen, which is really not that much compared to like blending something up. Now, the reason why removing the dissolved oxygen out of the juice is important is because if there's dissolved oxygen in the juice, as you know, depending on what you're juicing, can have a lot of antioxidants. The antioxidants' goal is to basically squelch the oxygen oxidation from happening, and if there's antioxidants in there, they will get oxidized literally from the oxygen in there, basically rendering less nutrition antioxidants in your juice when you drink it. That's why if you're going to store your juice for more than a day, definitely you want to put strong vacuum or 80% of the oxygen removal. So I did pump that only a few times. It started to bubble up, and once again, we're just going to go ahead and pump a few more. If you pump too much, then juice will start coming out of the top. That means you should slow down, or you shouldn't have filled the juice as high. Also, you could stop and then tap it down to get a lot of the air bubbles to rush up. The goal is to continue this process until you no longer see any air bubbles come up when you're tapping and when you're pulling up the pump. So I think I'm almost there. I'll do it like one more time. You'll know when you get maximum vacuum pressure because it'll be hard to pump, and maybe some ladies or guys that don't work out will, you know, stop earlier, but I like to go all the way, building my extra muscles while I'm removing the oxygen from my juice so it'll store longer, stay fresher, and be more nutritious when I drink it. And that's really one of the goals of juicing, is to get the nutrition in you, because most people, unfortunately, still to this day in 2025 are not eating enough of their vegetables. That's why I say juicing your vegetables is a great way to get them in you, especially if you're not eating them. But of course, I recommend not only juicing vegetables, but eating them raw in salads and steaming them or pressure cooking them in an Instant Pot, because vegetables are one of the healthiest foods on the entire planet that you guys should be eating regularly and in a lot more quantities than most of you guys are currently eating. So yeah, storing your juice like this makes it really easy so that you can just put this in your fridge, store them all week, and when you're running out the door late to work, just grab your juice, take it to go, drink it in your car, take it to work, drink it at work, so now you can offset the other foods or other beverages like sodas and prepackaged, you know, energy drinks that you would normally juice, and instead drink juice. That's why vacuum saving is a very important method to preserve your juice, and the Pure Pump allows you to do it the best way, remove the most oxygen, so that you could turn your health around and make juicing more easy. Because when you juice, you could juice like, last time I bulk juiced, I juiced 8 quarts at once, guys. I saved it, and literally I just had to juice once a week, literally, and then I have juice for the entire week. I just have 2 more juices for 2 days, and I still made one to drink right away. So let me go ahead and try this before I sign off today. That's delicious. I love the flavor of the ginger zing in this juice. So anyways, in this episode, you guys learned my 10 favorite accessories to make juicing easier so that you will juice more often. Of course, starting off with having the right juicer, which in my opinion is the Hurom H70. If you guys don't already own the Hurom H70, make sure you guys use the coupon code EASY at Hurom.com. That'll save you guys a minimum of 10% off, and or maybe even save you more money depending on what public promotion they have running at this time. And what I will say also too is just having the right juicer will make juicing easy, because when you're juicing at the end, you're thinking, oh, cleaning's a breeze, I just gotta spray it down, instead of thinking, man, I'm juicing now, that's great, but now I gotta clean the juicer and do all this scrubbing, and it's all, and I just don't want to do it, right? Once again, and then by saving your juice, you could juice once a week. So all these items play a factor in me juicing more often, to have juice for me to drink so that I can get more, in the end, vegetables in me and be healthier. So I really hope after watching this episode and seeing all these accessories, you know, you will start juicing more. And I want to know, what do you think? What is your favorite accessory that you thought was the coolest things in sliced bread in this episode? Please post your comments down below, because I'd love to hear them. And of course, if you have some kind of juicy accessory that you use that you think is imperative and makes juicing easier for you, post it down below too, because I'd love to review that, and maybe I'll find some new accessories, because I learned a lot from you guys. So I want to thank you guys out there for staying to the end of this episode. If you guys enjoyed this episode today, please be sure to give this video a big thumbs up. That'll help out the YouTube algorithm. Share this with more people so that more people can start juicing on a regular basis and getting fresh juice into them to change their health. Also, be sure to share this with other people that are juicing, maybe in juice fasting forums, juice feasting forums, so that they can learn about the best accessories to store and make juicing easy so that you will juice more often. Also, be sure to click that subscribe button right down below so you don't miss my new upcoming episodes. You never know what new juicer unboxings I'll be doing, vacuum blender unboxings, blender or juicer comparisons, or juicing knowledge bombs I'll be sharing with you guys to enhance your diet and health. Make sure you click the little bell so you get notified as my new videos come out. And also be sure to check my past episodes. Past episodes are a wealth of knowledge. Over 800 episodes at this time on this channel dedicated to you guys all about the best appliances to process your fruits and vegetables to get the maximum nutrition out of them. I'll put links down below to my other videos I made in the past about the H70 Hurom, as well as the pure vacuum pump, so you can see my test data where I compare this against Amazon pumps, as well as my video on the Alexis bags and how it makes juicing easier and can even get you up to 30% more yield depending on what juicer you are using. So with that, my name is John Kohler with discountjuicers.com. Be sure to visit discountjuicers.com/YouTube for special promotional offers for our YouTube visitors.